Improving Practice Through Inquiry, One Teacher's Story. Helping High School Seniors with Low Grades Succeed. By Jennifer Mann. I was assigned to teach a group of 28 high school seniors with a colleague, a special education teacher. The seniors had performed poorly on the state-mandated test, and unless they could improve their performance to a level of proficiency, they would not be allowed to graduate. It was a daunting task. We decided our first task was to collect information about the learners for whom we were to be responsible. We started by analyzing their academic histories. What we discovered were average to below average grades across the board, various identified learning difficulties, high absenteeism, and a very high number of behavioral referrals, many of which began in middle school. What had happened? How did they get to this point? More importantly, how would we help students with a history of failure succeed? After reviewing their histories, we asked the students to journal about their feelings regarding school, what they liked, what they did not like, what gave them the most trouble, and we asked them, what would you change? We also tested each student to determine a reading level. What we discovered was that every student in our class was below grade level in reading, some only by a year or so, and some as much as 8 years. All of the students struggled in classes that required intense reading. Their journals provided data that explained a great deal. Many of the students were embarrassed that they had been assigned to the remediation class. They felt as if it was a class for stupid students. They also felt as if they were not part of the school and were looked down upon by peers and teachers. We had many class discussions about their behavior. They explained that they knew the faculty hated them and did not respect them like the smarter students, so they just set out to make the teachers' lives as difficult as possible. Additionally, many described being fearful that they would not be able to succeed after high school. After all, they weren't passing here. Why would they pass somewhere else? The class was diverse. Many students had been raised by a single parent or a relative. One of the students was homeless. Several students lived with drug-addicted or alcoholic parents, as well as students from two-parent homes. Regardless of their home life, they all had one thing in common: the need to feel respected, valued, and capable. Passing the test was only one small part of what we had to accomplish. We also needed to validate them as students worthy of success. The class worked hard on both academic and social fronts. As reading proficiency increased, grades increased. Absenteeism decreased, as did behavioral referrals. In addition to the hours spent on data collection, evaluation, and assessment, we also sought ways for the students' talents to shine in and out of the classroom. Using the journals, we created reading groups based on interest and experiences. One particularly successful project was the outgrowth of reading a novel in which the protagonist was abused by his mother. The students decided to create public service announcements about recognizing child abuse, which we played for other classes and teachers. At the end of the year, only 2 students were not identified as advanced or proficient on the state test, which was considered a huge success. The true measure of success, however, was seeing the students helping and encouraging one another, feeling capable and qualified to be a part of any discussion, and that was the greatest success of all. Jennifer Mann is a teacher at Deer Lakes High School. Selecting technologies for different age levels. As this chapter and the preceding one indicate, your teaching approaches will be influenced by the development level of your students. Your incorporation of educational technology will be no different. For kindergarten and primary grade teachers, tools to enhance student literacy are likely to be a priority. Elementary, middle school, and high school teachers will be more interested in tools that promote thinking, problem solving, and communication. Using technology to reduce egocentrism and develop interpersonal reasoning. As we pointed out in the preceding chapter, primary to elementary grade children are limited by egocentrism in their ability to think logically. Egocentrism, as you may recall, is the inability to understand the world from any perspective but your own. According to Jean Piaget, who first proposed the concept, the main factor that contributes to the decline of egocentrism is exposure to different points of view through social interaction. Because these interactions do not have to be face to face, it is quite possible that sharing experiences and points of view by computer may produce the same result. One way to accomplish these exchanges is through KidLink, a non-profit organization that helps teachers and students arrange electronic exchanges with students from around the world. The goal of KidLink is to help children understand themselves, identify and define life goals, and collaborate with peers. Joyce Birch, a middle school teacher, has described how she created a program through KidLink for her students, including 3 students with moderate neurological and physical impairments. A project with implications for egocentrism reduction occurred between 5th grade students in Italy and Greece. Each group of students wrote the beginning of a fairy tale that contained a moral issue and posted it to a website. The 5th graders from the other country downloaded the partially written story, discussed it in class, wrote an ending, and then posted the completed story to the website. The group that started the story then downloaded it and discussed among themselves, wrote a final draft, and posted a summary of their discussion on the website. The comments made by the students reflected a strong effort to come to grips with the perspective of the other group. For schools that do not have the luxury of arranging real-time video conferences, written asynchronous exchanges via email have proven useful for accomplishing the same goal. One advantage of email exchanges is that children who are outgoing and fluent speakers are less likely to discourage others from participating. In a test of this idea, 5th and 6th graders from 2 schools in the Netherlands worked on a biology project for several weeks, both among themselves and with students from the other school, by periodically exchanging emails about various aspects of the project. The researchers found that over the course of the study, the students became more reflective and aware of the different views of their peers. In recent years, new options for encouraging the decline of egocentrism and the growth of interpersonal reasoning have emerged. Referred to collectively as Web 2, these options include such tools as blogs, podcasts, and videos, and such social networking websites as Facebook, Twitter, Google+, MySpace, and LinkedIn. These tools and websites allow individuals who share a common interest to work together to create, discuss, and modify a particular product, such as fiction or nonfiction stories, without having to purchase expensive software. The website ePals provides a general lesson plan for a digital storytelling classroom project in which students create, share, and reflect on their stories. As we pointed out earlier, these types of activities require students to consider points of view different from their own and to think about how best to interact with their online peers to ensure the success of the project. Effective technology on cognitive development. One of the advantages of educational technology is that it can be readily used to support the development of such higher-level cognitive skills as inquiry, critical thinking, and problem solving. For example, adventure learning programs allow students to interact electronically with experts and explorers around the world. Students from various schools might get together for virtual field trips to places such as the Statue of Liberty for insights on immigration policies, or the Civil War battlefield at Gettysburg for demonstration of military tactics. They also might communicate electronically with explorers traversing the Arctic tundra or the Amazon rainforest. While on virtual field trips, students are electronically transported to the actual site to view historical reenactments, listen to experts, ask questions, and electronically correspond with peers across the nation. Adventure learning explorations can be incorporated into the problem-based learning approach, a technique that promotes formal operational thought by emphasizing real-world problem solving. We discussed problem-based learning in Chapter 13, Approaches to Instruction. Two adventure learning websites that you might want to take a look at are the Global Online Adventure Learning site and ThinkQuest's Ocean Adventure site. Challenging assumptions, looking through lenses. Okay, says Don, so theories of development tend to focus on certain aspects of behavior and thought, but not on everything at once. If we really want to understand how kids change and why they behave as they do, we need to take into account not just how they reason or how they interact with others or how they develop physically or emotionally, but how all of those come together to influence what happens in the classroom. Connie nods. Looking at students through the lens of well-established theory can certainly provide insights, but behavior is complex, and so are the ways in which students develop. When a student comes into our classroom, she or he is not simply, for example, a concrete operational thinker with feelings of inferiority who reasons conventionally. A student is all those things and more. Students bring myriad experiences with them into our classrooms. They bring their academic capabilities, their emotional insecurities, their social status in the class, their family relationships, their physical appearance. No one theory explains everything, but that does not mean that a theory is useless to us. Theories grow from research, and when research supports a theory, there is good reason to use that theory as a way to understand our students and as a basis for testing ways to facilitate their learning. Connie continues, let's go back for a minute to Celeste and Antonio's conversation about 8th graders. Celeste, you saw a lesson work well in one class, but not in another. Did that ever happen to you, Antonio? Absolutely, says Antonio. I have a group of kids who do very well in my class, but then I teach the same lesson to another group, and they just don't get it. I used to think that it was just that I had a bad group of students, or that they just wouldn't try because they didn't like me. Do you have any other thoughts now? Asked Connie. Yeah, I do, Antonio says. It seems to me that there might be a lot of reasons why a group of students who are going through a ton of changes and who are very focused on what other kids think might not be focused on a lesson that I'm teaching. And what are you going to do with those explanations? Connie asks. Test them until I have found ways to help each student in each class. Connie smiles. That's what effective teachers do.